Live from WNY News in New York, I'm Lewis Carter with these headlines. More classified documents found on Trump's property. White House aides confirmed that Donald Trump was fond of destroying documents. The Select Committee criminal referrals to the Department of Justice to hold Donald Trump accountable for the Capitol riot on January 6. What did Trump's big announcement was all about? Is Mike Pence a coward? Mitch McConnell snapped at Trump after the January 6 final report. What was Donald Trump doing for 187 minutes when his supporters stormed the Capitol? Why is Trump getting totally unhinged? Is Donald Trump the biggest scandalous president in American history? The key takeaway from the J6 committee final hearing summary report. Now for the details. We begin with this breaking news. We now know that during the Select Committee investigating Donald's January riot coup plot, the committee made a startling allegation in its final report, claiming it had evidence that a Trump-backed attorney urged a key witness to mislead or lie to the committee about details they recalled about Donald Trump's state of mind during the insurrection. Clara Smith, senior justice correspondent, reports.
Cassidy Hutchinson, a key witness and a former White House aide, who testified during the January 6 public hearing, said that Passantino advised her to keep your answers short, sweet, and simple, 7 words or less. The less the committee thinks you know, the better, the quicker it's going to go. She said that when she mentioned to him having heard about an angry outburst by Trump in which he lashed out inside the presidential vehicle at Secret Service agents over their refusal to take him to the Capitol, Passantino counseled her not to delve into that account with the committee. No, 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 no. We don't want to go there. We don't want to talk about that, she described him as saying. All the while, Hutchinson told the committee, other Trump advisers appeared to be taking a keen interest in her cooperation, as well as her financial situation and job status. She said 2 other lawyers allied with Trump offered in May to front her money as they tried to help her find a job and offered her a job on a campaign out west. Other Trump allies reached out with potential job opportunities. Mr. Passantino also told her that her boss Mark Meadows and the boss, Trump, believe she will do the right thing because they were all family, but she had resolved to break from the constraints of Trump world. She did internet research on the Watergate saga, finding resonance in the story of Alexander Butterfield, the young Richard Nixon loyalist who became a key witness against him. Passantino, who was Trump's former White House ethics lawyer, committed a crime called witness tampering, along with Donald Trump. Clara Smith for WNY News, Capitol Hill.
In another development, the FBI searched Mar-a-Lago, former President Donald J. Trump's private club and residence in Palm Beach, Florida, in August for classified documents and presidential records, credit. And they found at least 2 documents with classified markings inside a sealed box in one of the locations, according to a person familiar with the matter. Mr. Trump's search team discovered the documents at a federally run storage site in West Palm Beach, Florida. The department is investigating the former president's handling of thousands of government documents, including more than 300 classified ones, that were taken from the White House at the end of his term and were found at Mar-a-Lago. Prosecutors are also seeking to determine whether Mr. Trump obstructed the government's repeated efforts to retrieve the materials. You listening to WNY News. The House committee investigating the January 6 attack on the Capitol urged the Department of Justice to prosecute former President Donald Trump on criminal charges on Monday, according to ABC News. The committee has for months been debating the move to send a criminal referral, which is largely symbolic. Bryant Williams has more.
Members of the January 6 committee voted to issue 4 criminal referrals for former President Donald Trump on 4 different charges. Among the charges are, insurrection, obstruction of an official proceeding, conspiracy to defraud the United States government, and conspiracy to knowingly make a false statement. In its last public meeting Monday, the January 6 committee introduced a video presentation that laid out key findings and evidence throughout its investigation. Across 161 pages, the committee also lays out 17 central findings, which cover 2 areas, Trump's alleged misconduct and how law enforcement and the Pentagon handled the attack. 12 of the conclusions accuse the former president of specific misconduct and the leading role related to the events of January 6, 2021. Bryant Williams, WNY News, Washington.
A former Trump official just revealed that the president's office mishandled confidential documents. Senior White House correspondent, Rebecca Brown is covering that story.
Olivia Troy, a national security official who worked as a Homeland Security and counterterrorism advisor to former Vice President Mike Pence, previously opened up about the Trump White House being frivolous with important documents. In an interview with MSNBC, Troy, 45, revealed that while working with the Trump administration, it was a known thing that her colleagues were careless with sensitive papers and information. I found classified information in the ladies' room of the White House. One time, Troy's discovery of files in a White House bathroom occurred before the coronavirus outbreak, she told Insider in another interviewee in the Eisenhower Executive Office building, she said in the interview. Top secret materials were seized at Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago property during an FBI search, seeming to show a pattern of vital documents in unexpected areas. I'm Rebecca Brown, WNY News, Capitol Hill.
Donald Trump recently posted on his Truth Social that he was going to make a big announcement. Well, we now know that the big announcement was about Trump's NFT cards. And many people who actually bought the cards believe Donald is a thief and a grifter. Dean Jefferson tell us why.
The former president released 45,000 of his NFTs, each individually priced at $99. In creating his NFT collection, former President Trump seems to have borrowed images from across the internet, including clothing brands on Amazon and Walmart. On Thursday, Trump began selling his first-ever collection of NFTs, dubbed the official Donald Trump Digital Trading Card Collection. Matthew Sheffield, a journalist for the Young Turks, said that Mr. Trump's cowboy NFT appeared to be a doctored image from Amazon selling a Scully men's duster jacket. Take a look at this example in this photo of Trump copying the clothing brands to make his NFT cards. Trump is a thief and a big grifter. Dean Jefferson, WNY News, Florida.
Former Vice President Mike Pence, in a Fox News interview on Monday, said he did not believe the DOJ should charge Trump with a criminal offense for his role in the January 6 insurrection. As I wrote in my book, I think the president's actions and words on January 6 were reckless. But I don't know that it is criminal to take bad advice from lawyers. And so I hope the Justice Department is careful, he said. Pence, who is considering a run for president in 2024, has become increasingly vocal in criticizing Trump. He said previously that Trump's actions on January 6 endangered him and his family, and he recently rebuked his former boss for saying parts of the Constitution should be revoked because they did not facilitate his re-election in 2020. Many Americans is now calling Mike Pence a coward for saying he doesn't believe the Department of Justice should charge Trump with a criminal offense for his role in the January 6 insurrection when Donald Trump wanted him to be hung by his mob supporters, tweeting Pence lacked the courage to do the right thing when Pence refused to overturn 2020 election results. You listening to WNY News. I'm Lewis Carter in New York. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell on Monday slammed former President Donald Trump after the latter was referred to the Justice Department for prosecution over the January 6 Capitol riot. The entire nation knows who is responsible for that day. Beyond that, I don't have any immediate observations, McConnell said in a statement to CNN. McConnell's statement came after the House panel investigating the Capitol riot on Monday asked the Justice Department to prosecute Trump on 4 charges. These included, conspiracy to defraud the U.S., conspiracy to make false statements, obstruction of an official proceeding, and inciting an insurrection. It has just been released to the press about what Donald Trump was doing for 187 minutes when the Capitol was under attack. White House Chief Investigator Sophia Douglas reports.
We have just learned that during the Capitol riot, Donald Trump grabbed a bag of popcorn, switched on the White House dining room television, sat down and watched his mob supporters for 187 minutes beating up Capitol police officers. Therefore, it showed the culmination of Donald Trump's efforts to interfere with Congress was sending his mob and refusing to stop them and them inciting them further. Every American citizen, a juror, can see when the Secret Service people protecting the security detail of the vice president are calling their families because the fear for their life. That's a crime that everyone can understand, and it showed Trump's responsibility for it, and it's important for the American people to see how bad this really was, and it shows Donald Trump criminal intent. I'm Sophie Douglas reporting for WNY News, in Washington.
Donald Trump is now getting totally unhinged because of the multiple civil and criminal investigations. January 6, House Select Committee investigation is looking into everything leading up to, and involving, the attack on the U.S. Capitol by Trump supporters that interrupted the certification of Joe Biden's election win. Lawmakers and police officers' lawsuits. Trump and Giuliani were accused of conspiring with far-right groups Proud Boys and Oath Keepers to incite the attacks. The Mar-a-Lago classified document. The National Archives, charged with collecting and sorting presidential material, says at least 15 boxes of White House records were recovered from Trump's Mar-a-Lago resort, including records that may have been classified. 2020 election, efforts to overturn Georgia results. Fulton County, Georgia, District Attorney Fani Willis is investigating what Trump or his allies may have done in their efforts to overturn Biden's victory in Georgia. Maya Gonzalez has more.
Trump was on Truth Social posting a lot of his old lies. He attacked the special counsel, Jack Smith, saying, quote, "Smith is snooping around about the perfect phone call he made to Georgia Secretary of State challenging the corrupt presidential results, my absolute right to do," end quote. Trump is lying because his call was about asking for votes, not challenging an election. Donald Trump had 61 cases tossed out by the courts about his lies concerning stolen election. Trump is scared and totally unhinged because he can smell an indictment coming for him very soon. Maya Gonzalez, WNY News, Palm Beach, Florida.
The American people is now saying Donald Trump is the only president in the history of America to pull the biggest political scandal ever. The DOJ investigation into Trump's actions after the election, along with his retention of U.S. top-secret documents he kept at Mar-a-Lago, the criminal investigation in Georgia for his perfect phone call pushing to have the election results altered there to favor him. In New York, he's been sued by Attorney General for fraud. Pressuring elected officials and intimidating your vice president into overturning an election, hyping up his deadly mob to storm the U.S. Capitol, forcing lawmakers to hide and run for their lives, threatening to hang Mike Pence, and by refusing a peaceful transfer of power to the elected president seems like the biggest political scandal in our history.
We now join Emmanuel Johnson, Chief Political Analyst, about the Select Committee takeaway from its final summary report. Across 161 pages, the committee also lays out 17 central findings, which cover two areas: Trump's alleged misconduct and how law enforcement and the Pentagon handled the attack. 12 of the conclusions accuse the former president of specific misconduct and the leading role related to the events of January 6, 2021, starting election night 2020. The committee's report summary states that Donald Trump purposely disseminated false allegations of fraud in order to overturn the election outcome and raise money. Those lies directly provoked his supporters on January 6. We will bring the full coverage in the next video. If you like this video, hit the like button and please consider subscribing to this channel. Thanks for watching. I'm Emmanuel Johnson in Washington.